not all of it back.
Good work.
They got that warrior spirit.
Hold on, let me turn this audio down. We don't need any more of this. We're gonna get right to it. Hold on one second. Can you give me just a little bit of audio?
Me, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you perfectly now. Yeah.
All right.
And I'm gonna get rid of this audio. I just got a little bit of something I just got to say right at the beginning. It's just you and I talking tonight, right?
That's all right.
We're gonna have a few more people that's gonna listen in, but it's just you and I talking. But I gotta always send out love to the Haps family. That's who we're broadcasting through. They send us through YouTube. They send us through Facebook, Twitter, which I'm not active on, but I still got a lot of Twitter viewers on there. But Haps has been good to me, so I definitely want to always send a shout out. Send a shout out to Dr. G, my sister Frida. She's always in orchestra pit. She's our moderator. She'll check any trolls. She'll check anybody that comes in here wrongfully. Hopefully we won't have that tonight. It's not even that kind of topic. This is a very, very, I think it's going to be an educational topic for some. For others, it might just be a reiteration of some things. But we're definitely here to solve some situations tonight, not just to have a discussion. We want to have a situation solving situation. Situation solving situation. Okay. But I asked this brother to come on because I had reached out. I've reached out to several people. Everybody's not in the same vein, and I get that. But when I start talking about generational wealth, start talking about family, start talking about certain things, I expect people to fucking jump. I ain't gonna lie. I expect people to jump, especially our people. Because personally, for me, without a strong family, for those who have had a strong family, without the strong family, we're nothing. And I know the Malcolm family is strong. Strong roots, strong Ann Arbor roots, Ypsilanti, Washtenaw County roots. So I feel as though talking to someone like yourself who's not only entrenched in the community, but you do things that I would love to see other real estate agents do, because I know you not only sell homes, you educate your client through the process. Those who come in ignorant leave educated. And I've only learned this through people you've sold homes to. I've never talked to you about real estate, but I know people you've sold homes to, and they talk about how you treated them, and it made them feel like, truthfully, they said they had never had another sales experience like that. Because being a salesman, I know people don't like us. Traditionally, they don't like salespeople. We're slicksters. We're people. We're uncouth. Herb Tarlick on WKRP in Cincinnati gave salesmen a bad name. Everybody thinks salesmen are that plaid jacket, white patent leather shoe guy, and it's quite the contrary. Usually we're probably more relatable than the average person, but because we have to get into our salesman situation, it kind of takes people there. But you're not one of those always be closing people. At least you don't appear to be to your clients, and you make them feel as if they're really a part of the process, not that they're just going through some type of procedure. But I want to introduce you, for those who don't know who you are. I want to introduce you. I've known this brother pretty much all our lives. If our families have known each other, we've known each other all our lives. But we probably met thoroughly in high school, And we've been around each other, in this city, in this county for, over 40 years at this point. And I've seen you go through phases, and I've seen you grow. Um, I can't say enough because they're stand-up motherfuckers. Oh, we gonna cuss, y'all. I forgot. We gonna cuss tonight. Um, they know I cuss. They know I cuss. But usually my guests try to like be real, real. No, I need you to cuss. If there's some shit that requires you to use profanity tonight. Um, there's people that grow, but there's people that grow exponentially to the point where I remember you back in high school, and I know where you are now, and it's ridiculous. It's I want to come find you right now and punch you in your chest just for something you did in the 3200 hall. Just for
Yeah,
something you
right.
did in the 3200 hall. But we gonna stay with it tonight. But this
50,
brother's name,
hey, 52, 6200 hall. I know what you're talking about.
3200 hall is where I parked my car. That was I
Right.
parked my car. So I remember that hall better than I remember any hall.
Uh,
That was the one with the steps you could go down and hide at. Um, this brother, David Malcolm, he is a Washtenaw County, lifelong Washtenaw County resident, lifelong Ann Arbor resident, which is more important, and we're going to talk about that because the title of this, Don't Sell Grandmama's House, came to me simply because I sold Grandmama's house. And I'm going to give a concise version, if I can do that, of what happened with me, but why we don't want to do that. Because I don't want to make light of that situation, but we're going to talk about how it kind of dictated courses in my life, how I had to get there, how I got there, what happened, but why I don't want to see anybody else sell Grandmama's house. And then along the way, we're going to talk about some things. I have some questions for Dave, and I want to ask for people who haven't been homeowners or for people who are homeowners, what happens in the case of somebody passing? What does a family need to do with this real estate? This house is in somebody's name. What do you do when that person dies? Because it automatically, yes, it's going to go to the family, but it needs to go to the family the right way. And I want you to be able to talk about some things like that, be able to help some folks out. But this brother's name, David Malcolm, it rings out in Washtenaw County. It rings out in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And you know him to be a man about town. I mean, you're not only a real estate agent. I was a Mason. I know you tried to re-recruit me back in there. I didn't get him back. Maybe when I get a little older, maybe when I mature a little bit, I might come back. I don't know. But if you've been to Michigan football tailgates, you done fucked around and stopped by his tent. Um, if you're just around town, you've seen this man. So I I really don't know how to introduce somebody that I literally just saw. But I'm gonna do it. His name is David Malcolm, and anybody that's in the chat right now, please let me get a couple hands just so we know we got some live people in the feed. But David Malcolm, I appreciate you, brother. Welcome into Freedman on Fire. As you can see, I'm on fire already.
all right.
All right. So I appreciate you being here. Anonymous Facebook user, hey y'all. I'm not sure exactly who that is. We're gonna have people that are on Facebook. They'll come through as anonymous Facebook users because they don't have HAPS accounts. Sometimes they will disclose who they are, and I appreciate that. Sometimes they don't. We've got lurkers too.
Yeah, well,
We're gonna
they
have,
they always around.
yeah, they're gonna lurk, but they're not gonna chime in, not in the chat. They just want to kind of see what's going on. So I appreciate you coming on and talking to us tonight about Don't Sell Grandmama's House. um, it was important for me to reach out with somebody with the real estate expertise versus me just coming in with my meager experience in real estate and trying to speak from that vein. Um, as I stated at the beginning, I did sell Grandma's house. Yeah, they're gonna speak from
I'm
that
sorry.
vein. You're good. You're good. You're good. Um, I did sell Grandmama's house, and I was put through a set of circumstances that were not common. I realized that, and a lot of people don't know the history of it. And I realized, oh, I got my Scully on. I just came from shoveling outside, so I'm gonna switch into broadcast mode. Um, but I did sell my grandmother's house because it provided her an existence to be able to live many years after that. So I was fortunate to even have that resource to do so. But if I had to do it all over again, I would not sell grandmama's house because, and I don't just look at it from the what the house sold for then to what it's worth now. I look at it as generational wealth. I didn't talk about generational wealth when all this happened, and we weren't talking about these things, and it wasn't that important. And really, it was my second piece of real estate that had slipped through my fingers because my brother had a situation where he got us evicted out of Colonial Square, and they flipped to condos less than 24 months later. So that would have been our first piece of real estate inherited. Our mother passed. I still just paid the rent, $326. Sent them every month, no big deal. That would have turned into a deed. Then I would have had God Street. But not getting that and not even thinking at the time with God Street that what I was doing was I was closing off my real estate portfolio. Now, after that, we went into buying rental properties over on EMU's campus, another failed real estate venture, but we tried it. We were young, we tried it, and we got out of that kind of unscathed. But the biggest problem that I had, and I have to this day, was selling grandmama's house. So the first question I want to ask you is why shouldn't we sell grandmama's house?
Well, hearing your circumstances, I mean, sometimes you have to sell grandmama's house, and that's a big part of buying real estate is so that when we get older and we reach our elderly years, we have something to fall back on as far as the equity in our homes, if we need it to support us through our elderly years, which makes sense,
Right.
to sell grandmama's house. If you got to sell it and you need the money, it's understandable.
Right.
That is probably one of the most perfect reasons to do it. So, who can fault you for wanting to make sure that your grandmother was taken care of properly, and taken care of like she should have been taken care of because she took care of you and a whole bunch of other people in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? So she deserved to be taken care of
Right.
in that manner. Now I'm still in the neighborhood.
You are.
Um, I'm fortunate enough to still be in the neighborhood. And in the beginning of your intro, you mentioned my Malcolm side of my family,
Mm-hmm.
who I am honored to carry that name. My grandfather and my grandmother came here from rural North Carolina and rural Georgia, and they made a wonderful life for my uncles and my aunts and my dad and me and my other cousins, and they left a legacy that cannot be touched. Everybody knows them, and they left their name here, and we
There,
still
there,
own.
there should be, there should be a Malcolm Street at some point on the old West Side. I'm
I
not,
don't know.
and I don't blow smoke. I don't blow smoke. I know your family's history,
Yeah, yeah.
so you know you do good things out here now. People are going to remember that, but you wouldn't do good things out there if you hadn't come from the stock
Oh
that you
yeah, I
came.
mean, well, I was always afraid of embarrassing them, and being which I was the black sheep for those high school years that you was talking
Sure,
about, but
sure.
I was always afraid and embarrassed to shame them in any kind of way or put some smut on their name. So I acted accordingly when I was supposed to.
Right.
I screwed up sometimes, and we get it together, but what I was saying was there's a whole nother side of my family that people don't really understand and know, and that's my mother's side of the family.
Mm.
Now, the Malcolms here have definitely made a name for me
Hmm.
to follow and carry on and uh, honor and love and cherish, definitely. But it's my mother's family that have been in this city and in this area for over 100 years.
Whoa,
My
whoa, whoa, whoa!
Yeah, right,
We
right,
ain't gonna
right.
slide by that.
No,
Did you say over
seriously.
100 years?
My grandmother was born on God Street in 1908, bro. My mother's mother was
Wow,
born 3 doors away from where I live. Her name was Eva. Eva Morton was her maiden name. My
wow.
grandmother also taught piano probably to every black person from here to Ipsy to Romulus or whatever, from the 1940s, 50s, 60s. Um, if you know some black folks that's 60, 70, 80 years old playing piano around here, 9 times out of 10 it was my grandmother that taught them how to play piano right out of the old Bethel AME Church on 4th Avenue.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right. So that's what I say. Um, people recognize me for my Malcolm side, but quietly they don't understand that there's a whole nother side to my family that have been here. And my great grandparents were some of the first settlers here on Gott Street, and they owned the entire upper end of Gott Street on a dead end at one time.
Mhm.
They owned 8 lots up at the top,
Wow.
and they passed that down to 4 of their children.
Mhm.
And those 4 lots were split two each to each child.
Mhm.
Um, my grandmother's siblings didn't live around here.
Okay.
One of them lived in California, and another one I believe lived in Detroit or something somewhere. And they sold off their portions of the property,
Mhm.
but my grandmother kept ours.
Mhm.
The one that I own now, I,
Mhm.
I I still own the last remaining lot that my great grandparents owned on God Street.
Wow.
So that transferred hands to my mother in the 70s. And my parents got divorced. My dad got one house, and my mother kept the house that I now own.
Okay.
Uh, and, when you talk about generational wealth, I'm probably like the second generation on both sides of my family to experience any kind of exchange of generational wealth.
Mhm.
The only difference is I paid for my house. My mother, like many others, uh, ran into trouble at times during her life, and
Mhm.
um, me and my wife were looking for a house at the time, and I was about to buy a house in Stony Brook. And
Okay.
no offense to Stony Brook or anything, but my mama was like, "Oh, hell no, my grandkids ain't going to Stony Brook." So that was my mama's thing. You know what I
Hey,
mean? She raised half of Stony Brook on that school bus, but she was like, "Nah." She said, "Let's work something out." You know what I mean? So
we all grown. Look, we all grown. I know
yeah,
Stony
well,
Brook
I
has
mean, I'm
been
not trying to
gentrified.
offend nobody.
I know Stony Brook has been gentrified, and I know the old West Side has been gentrified. But we know what Stony Brook was back in the day. And
Well,
we
it's getting worse. It's
and we
getting worse. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a short time. But um, so I worked out a deal with my mom where basically I paid off all her debt. We paid off her debt. We fixed the house up, and it's been in my possession since 1996. So you know, I am in that lane of passing it down because it's still in my family, and my kids will have an opportunity if they so choose
right,
to keep it
right,
or sell it and maybe do something better with it. It's really gonna be up to them, but
sure.
I've held on to it to continue that legacy.
You've done your job.
Um,
You've done
like
your job.
like my Malcolm side, we still own my grandparents' properties, and
Mhm.
there's multiple members of my family that own properties in this neighborhood, but
Mhm.
we're like the last of the people that are in this neighborhood. So
I want to speak on that because the area that we talk about, what did they name the area? Water
well,
Hill.
yeah, they some very nice people came into the neighborhood,
Okay.
and they decided to start this festival,
Okay.
which I really didn't like the very first day that I came upon it. I had flew in from Atlanta, and I couldn't figure out why all these people was sitting in the middle of the street, and I couldn't get home.
Right.
And they looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm honking the horn, trying to run them over. I'm just trying to go home.
You like
And
shit? I'm trying to go to the bathroom. I've been on an airplane all goddamn morning. Right.
yeah. It was. They named it the Water Hill Music Festival.
Water Hill Music Festival. Got it. Yeah.
So the festival kind of grew on me after a while. I mean, we
Sure.
started to invite people over for the festival. We would have little functions and cook, and
Sure.
friends would come to the neighborhood, park their cars, and walk around and listen to the different artists and whatnot, and have a good time. We walked to Hunt Park. We walked the whole neighborhood and stop at other friends' houses and listen to who they had playing. It was actually kind of fun for a little bit.
Mhm.
But then there was one incident that caused a little fire.
Okay.
My younger cousin, he's the same age as my kid, so he's like, he like one of my kids, like one of my little youngins.
Right.
Him and my daughter graduated together, so he was walking from his parents' house to my grandparents' house up on Brooks to cut the grass.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lady that accused him of stealing her lawnmower. And mind you, this kid just graduated from college and he's working at the courthouse. He ain't stealing nobody's lawnmower. You know what I mean? He's just a good kid
He
doing.
working at the courthouse. He ain't on the motherfucking docket.
Yeah, he ain't on the docket. So it caused a little ruckus, and we then had a neighborhood meeting at Mac School. Got some people together. Got to share our experiences and got to let some people know that hey, we've been here for a really long time and we ain't going nowhere.
Right.
So you either get used to it and get comfortable, or maybe you need to go.
Right.
And it helped a little bit. It helped bring some people together. I won't call it healing because it was very offensive.
Right.
Um,
What?
so
Okay.
that
So I guess my question is this: what caused her to think that what was he walking up the street with a lawnmower?
he was walking up the street with a lawnmower, and she said, "You stole my lawnmower," and her lawnmower was in her backyard. Maybe it looked alike. I don't know.
So could it have been some ridiculous fucking marketing plan from some lawnmower manufacturer to make more than one to make a profit?
Right.
Maybe they made two Briggs and Stratton lawnmowers, and
Yeah.
you have one and they have one. Collector's items. Are you fucking
Yeah.
kidding me?
Well, she caused a really big problem, and I hopped on Nextdoor.com. I expressed my disdain for what had happened, and then that then caused this unity meeting in the neighborhood. So it happened. We spoke about it, and basically we let people know. And I think that they got it that the Malcolms are in this neighborhood, and they got who we were,
Right.
and that don't mess with us, and we're gonna be here. So
We ain't visiting.
you're
We
the
ain't
visitor.
home.
You're the visitor. We ain't visiting. So that happened, and I met some really interesting neighbors after that I still talk to now, and that were very supportive of what we were saying, and just trying to get people to understand that there were people that lived here long before you.
Right.
There are people that still live here,
Right.
and that hey, we can live together. We understand that the neighborhood is changing. We may not like it. I don't like the name Water Hill. I hate to hear it. It disgusts me every time I hear it. Because I remember the real neighborhood. You know what
Right.
I mean? I
Right.
remember, I
Right.
remember the West Side Hood when it was us over here and we was family
Right.
and your grandmama and my grandmama. We had a grandmama on every corner that would make sure you was straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In more ways than one. If you need straightening, they straighten you out. If you needed a bite to eat, they give you a bite to eat. Whatever.
Shit, neighborhood watch. We created
Yeah,
neighborhood
we
watch.
don't need no neighborhood. We need no
We
neighborhood
were
watch.
neighborhood watch. If you cut up in the 600 block, by the time you got to the 1,000 block,
Yeah,
your
you was
mama
in
already
trouble.
knew.
You was in trouble.
You was already in
But
trouble. And
so all that happened, and then there ended up being one more meeting with the family. I won't say their names and put them out there
sure,
like
no,
that.
no need. No need.
But the family that started the festival, they met with me. They asked me to come to a meeting at a house, and I did. And they were very apologetic at what their festival basically had caused because it caused the birth of gentrification in this neighborhood
Sure,
to levels never seen before. People
sure.
wanted to buy in. Older people were selling their homes at really low prices.
Mm.
People were coming, buying them up, fixing them up, turning around, selling them for double what they paid for them. There was a flight basically out of the neighborhood, and you have what we have now, which is a very nice neighborhood. It's one of the most sought after neighborhoods in Ann Arbor. I had people knocking on my door, emailing me, texting me all the time, asking me if I want to sell. And
So,
depending on depending on how I feel that day is how I respond.
got it. I look at this situation a little differently. Because I'm a little different. And we're going to answer your question, Brother Emmanuel, in just a second in the chat. Brother Emmanuel is very intuitive, brother. He actually spent some time here in Michigan. He's been all over this country. Um, it's amazing how they are still running, sliding into First to get to the old West Side, to get to the Water Hill neighborhood. But at one time, that was the only place that they allowed Black people to live.
Mm-hmm.
In the city of Ann Arbor, if you wanted to buy a home, that's the neighborhood you were going to buy a home. What you just talk about, Stony Brook? You weren't. There was no Stony Brook.
Yeah.
We're talking about on the old West Side. If you wanted to live, you lived in that area.
Yeah. I even had another realtor ask me one day, and to my surprise, we were doing a charity event, and I had another realtor ask me where did I live, and I told her, and she was like, "Oh, that's where the poor people. That's where the poor people. When I grew up, that's where the poor people live. We weren't allowed to go over there." And I was shocked that a realtor would make that statement, for one, and two, I was offended because I'm like, I didn't grow up poor. You know what I mean?
No, we
I
ain't
didn't.
state.
I
We
didn't
ain't
grow up
fucking
poor.
state. We didn't.
Hey man, I mean, we come from two-parent homes, and if our parents weren't together, they were good friends and they took care of each other. Um,
Everybody was working, no, Dave.
hey,
Everybody
no,
was
no,
working.
no, but on the real though, we had some real deal people over here. Alma Wheeler is one of ours. Alma Wheeler
Ours.
Smith, Senator Alma Wheeler Smith is one of ours.
One of ours.
Judge Francis is one of ours. Bob Elliott is one of
One of
ours.
ours.
We can keep going. Keith Bostic is one of
You
ours.
start talking about the staples, the OG uh lot senior
Aaron
Fonville.
Bailey is one of ours.
Oh,
You know
see,
what I'm saying?
you talking about Wikipedia material.
I can
Now
keep going.
you can go to the Fonville name, to
All of
the
that.
Johnson name.
All
I
of
was
that.
just about to
The
talk about the Malcolm name.
the
Dude,
Hunters.
the Hunters.
Man, keep
Wait a minute,
going.
Larry Hunter?
The
See, if
Whitman, city councilman. I mean, we had judges, we had mayors, we had senators, we had everybody living in this neighborhood. So to call me poor, I was offended, bro. You
totally,
know what I mean?
totally.
And if I didn't have something at my mama's house, I could go to my grandma's house. If I didn't have something at my grandma's house, I could look hungry on your grandmama porch and give me a sandwich if I
We
needed one.
hustled. Look, we hustled back in the day. We had so much family.
Yeah.
It was like, and people was like, "Yeah, that's the poor neighborhood." There's no poor neighborhood.
Nah, man, we wasn't poor, man, but
Mr.
you
Dabney,
know,
Mr.
I,
Dabney had that was like the original Sanford and Son. That was like the real life
yeah.
Sanford and Son.
The Dabneys. I mean, you could just keep going on and on and
Come
on
on,
and
man.
on
We wasn't
about
poor.
no,
And
no,
they
no. So
and they all own them homes.
I was right, but you know what? I was, to my surprise, and we had a bit of this discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
There were some older African Americans that own many houses in this neighborhood, and they rented them out to a lot of those families that didn't own. So some of them were long term renters, but
Okay.
they had a home, and their home was their home.
It
And
was
as
never
long as
like it
they
was a threat. Like they was
no,
gonna kick
no,
you out.
no,
Like
no.
your lease is
As
up.
long as they paid their rent, every month, Mr. So and so got their rent. They had a home. They didn't have to worry about it. And he was a brother, and he owned a lot of homes in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But um, you know, I say all that to say, why should we not sell grandma's home? You know what I mean? Why should we not sell grandma's home? Because they worked hard for this stuff, man.
Yeah.
They worked hard. They worked hard. They worked in folks' kitchens. They worked in folks' hotels. They worked in folks' school systems as custodians. School bus drivers. They did everything that they could to provide for us,
Yes.
uh, and that's all they got to leave us. Really, you know what I mean? My mom didn't die rich or with no whole bunch of
No,
money.
no, no.
Um, my grandparents didn't die rich, but you know, they didn't just leave us empty handed.
Their
But
wealth was in the
their
soil,
home in their home.
in their
So
land. Their land. They see now we understand so much of this. This land is my land.
Yeah.
I mean, when you stand on your own property, you are proud to stand on your own property. Nobody can kick you off. You're not renting, you're not leasing, you're not rent to owning, which we're going to talk about in just a second because we went long on that one. That was my fault because I caused that. But you stand on your property, you have a total different sense of honor than you
Hmm.
do if you're just at home.
You
You
have
stand
power.
on your property. And that has been taken away from us and we've given it up in so many different everybody's situation is not my situation. My situation isn't another's. But we've lost what I want to do because we don't sell grandmama's house. But at one time, home ownership for black people was about 40%. I mean, 4 out of 10 black people own their own home. And we've lost much of that over the last several decades. So it's almost like we don't revere home ownership. We
And
like
you
we
got
like a
you,
nice place to live, but it doesn't necessarily have to be our place to live. Why is it important, Dave, to own your home and not just lease a home or rent a home?
there's certain tax benefits that you get to owning a home. A lot of them were knocked out. I won't get into politics, but
Absolutely.
uh, you know, um, you gain equity, of course. For every payment you make, you're knocking that principal down, and it's basically like you're paying yourself and you're building a bank account.
Right.
And like I say, when you get older, you have something to fall back on in your retirement. If you want to pack up and move and go somewhere else, hey, you got a couple $100,000 you can take with you and go live a good life.
Right.
Or you can hold on to it and pass it down to your children and let that be your generational gift of wealth that you pass on to your kids, your grandkids, and you know I don't know, man. It crosses my mind sometimes to sell. It does, but as my uncle always says, it's about legacy too. You know what I mean? I feel good when I walk outside and I know that I'm standing on the land that my great grandparents owned. You know
Now,
what I mean?
did they build that house?
My granddad built my house in 1946 after he came back from the war,
Okay. Okay.
which many black folks couldn't build or buy because you had redlining, you had all kinds of other things going on.
Right.
We got to remember the Fair Housing Act didn't come around until 1968. You know what I mean? So my house was built in 1946 by my grandfather in this neighborhood.
So your grandfather built his house 22 years before the Fair Housing Act. So he was a brother that was like, "Fuck that! I'm just gonna build my own house. Y'all won't get."
Uh,
How did he do this? Because it ain't that easy to get all the materials to build a house. So how did he do that? Basically skirting around the system that they wouldn't sell him a house. Obviously, he had to deal with predatory lending, deal with this, that, and the other. How did he build his own house versus being able to buy one?
my granddad, man, I don't know. So he always had money and stuff, man. I don't know what it was, but Shannon, I really.
Was Grandpa Malcolm a hustler? Was he out there? Was he out there
Well,
doing
no, no, yeah, my grandpa Malcolm definitely was a hustler, but again, this is my mother's father that I'm talking about.
Okay.
This is
Oh,
this
okay.
is Gilbert Pitts, Mr. Pitts, one of the first employees of the Ann Arbor Public Schools.
Wow.
Um, again,
That's
that's why I
another name.
say
We didn't mention Pitts. That name Pitts is,
you're right. That's a whole nother
yeah.
Pitts and Morton side of my family is a whole nother thing. So we're
We
talking about
glad we
my
didn't fuck
mama's
with y'all.
daddy.
Y'all could have got the Mortons, the Pitts, and the Malcolms. Y'all could have tore up Ann Arbor and shit.
Yeah, we did. But this is my mother's father that I'm talking about, and again, that the legacy that he left, man. I remember being a 5-year-old kid, and my granddad would pick me up from Mac school, and we walk downtown to Main Street to get something to eat, and Gramps' money wasn't no good, man. He walked in. I had my own account at Fiegel's, man, when I was a little kid. I
What?
could walk into Fiegel's. I could walk into Fiegel's and get me a suit and get me some. My granddad took care of me, man. He made
Oh
sure I
yeah,
was straight.
your grandpa was a gangster. Yeah, he was a gangster.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
I mean, all of that. We used to walk downtown, man, and everybody would
And
dap him
mind
up,
y'all,
salute
we're
him.
talking about Ann Arbor, Michigan. We're not
Yeah,
talking about Detroit. We're not talking about any type of small town that's predominantly populated by black people. We're talking about Ann Arbor, Michigan.
yeah. My granddad definitely, man. He retired from the Ann Arbor Public Schools at like 55, man, and he lived to be 92, man. They wanted him dead. He got all
Right.
this money. He got all this money.
I know they was tired of my grandmother. She lived. She's 90. She was 98. She lived. She was 9. I mean, she. Oh, we almost got her there. We almost got her to 100. But she retired at 65. She walked at 65, and
Yeah.
had like I don't know how many months of vacation, and they was happy. They like she lived on that ticket for 33 years.
Right. See, they got their money. They
They got
got
their
what they
money.
deserve.
Their money work.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I really don't know the back end of the story of how he did what he did.
Okay.
And whether it be some GI Bill or something like that.
Sure. Sure.
But at the time it was amazing. But again, my great grandparents already owned the property, so
Right.
he married into a family that already owned the property here. He had 4 children of his own, my mother and her 3 siblings, and they that generational wealth came into play,
That was
and
smart,
they,
Dave,
they were
because
able to build.
what we try to do now is we try to get away. We get 18, we get 21, whatever. We try to get away. He said, "No, I'm gonna build a house, but I'm gonna build it on our property." He probably could have went and found him a piece of property to buy a house and build a house on, but that would have
Yeah,
been somebody else's property. He would have been paying some. Y'all already own the property. See the it's not in the house itself; it's in the land. If you didn't own the land, he would have been able to build a house there.
yeah. He
That could have
came
been
from
somebody else's lot.
he came from Helena, Arkansas.
What was it called?
And Helena, Arkansas.
Helen.
And I believe he and my grandmother got married sometime around 1928.
Jeez.
I believe somewhere around there. I know they were both born around the same time. But
My aunt owned 901 Minor, my dad's sister. That's in the chat.
ah, yeah, I see some of these people from the hood that I know, man. That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool.
It's
That's
it's
cool.
it's it's good to see people because OG Classic was bringing up some names, boy. Let me get. We got to get back in the name. Jones, Webster's, uh, Pease, Johnson's, Brooks.
Man, keep it
Oh,
going. I'm telling you.
yeah.
I know,
Oh,
and I know
612
we know them
Elmcrest.
all.
612 Elmcrest. I mean, it's deep. It's deep to know that black people really lived well over there because they lived together. They
Who is
lived
OG?
together.
Who is
They had
OG Classic Jones?
OG Classic. That's Tony.
Oh, that's
Kathy Ball.
Tony.
Kathy
Ah,
Ball.
yeah. What up,
Kathy
Tone?
Ball.
Hey, cause he threw out the Jones, the Websters, and the Peace. He threw out the real ones.
Right, right. He like the old school.
He was like, "Don't forget the gangsters of the neighborhood." Now you can't forget
Pour,
the gangsters.
hey, I'll pour a little out for the gangsters tonight. All right,
Right,
OG
right,
Classic,
right.
bro. I got the good vibes going, but it ain't coffee tonight, y'all. It ain't coffee tonight. So,
Hey, them Websters is what made God Street God Street.
hey, I tell you what, uh, you ain't you ain't had a day until Troy Webster steals your Hot Wheel car. I know goddamn well Troy stole my Hot Wheel car, went inside to get some Kool-Aid, and Troy stole that damn Hot Wheel car off my grandmama's porch. I know he did. But he said he didn't. She confronted him about it. Back then, an adult would confront a kid in a heartbeat.
Run low.
They
I'm
would.
sorry, my battery running low. Let me. I
Oh,
didn't
don't
have
worry
it.
about it. Hey, y'all, we got a rookie podcaster in here. He about to go off the air
I don't know. It's
involuntarily.
not plugged in. Maybe
Hey,
plug it
hey,
into
it's
the wall.
happened to me before too. It's happened to me before. Don't worry about it. So,
Give me. Yeah, I'm listening.
do you think? Do you think? So,
No, it's all good.
and if you do drop down because of power, you'll still be a part of the stream when you
No,
get
I'm
powered
good.
up.
I just got it. I just got it plugged back in. I'm
Oh,
good.
okay, we got you. We got you. Um, but no, you had families that, and back then adults could confront a kid. Like
Yeah,
now, you say something to somebody else's kid, and shit. Now you got to go to family court,
man. Or you got to fight their mom or
or you,
daddy.
or you got to fight their mama or their daddy. You
Yeah,
might fight a brother or sister. Kids fighting adults now, all kinds of shit. But back then,
Yeah,
you could say my grandmother was quick to put somebody in her car. You imagine putting somebody in your car now and taking them home? That's all
yeah.
type of kidnapping charges and all kinds of shit.
Man, we used to get rides from school, from Wines to Mac to Forsyth. You hop into anybody's car to get home because you ain't want to walk.
You didn't want to walk. Now you ain't doing that nowadays. Things like that ain't happening nowadays. So
Yeah,
importance of owning a home versus renting a home, because I see a lot of predatory practices today. I see, being from the sales end, I never got deep into real estate, but I almost went to work for a company that actually did rent to own sales. Now, I'm sorry, I've never really come to grips with rent to own, because if I'm renting it, I'm renting it. If I'm owning it, I'm owning it. Or buying it, I'm buying it. How could I rent it to own it? But they tell you what it is right in the title. You are
yeah.
renting it to own it.
I made a post a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if you saw it, about those being three words that I hate to hear on any given day. Um, Generally, when you rent to own a house, they require you to put a larger down payment down. Sometimes 20, 40, 50%, right? So then you got to really know what you're doing too. You need to make sure you have a lawyer involved, because what if that person that you just gave all your money to isn't up to date on their mortgage, or there's other liens on the property that you don't know about, or you know what I mean? Somebody is taking your money and not paying those bills that they're supposed to, and
Right,
then you get a notice on the door one day that they're going to foreclose on it, but all your money's gone.
right.
It's much safer to do it the right way, and pay cash for it if you got it,
Okay.
or find you a reputable lender. And a lot of people, anytime I hear rent to own, I automatically know what the problem is. It's normally bad credit,
Okay.
right? And people are closer than they think they are to purchasing a home many times. They just don't know the processes that it takes to do it. And you can go to any any bank, any credit union that you have a relationship with, and basically they'll help you get your credit together. Um, I know we got some people probably listening that probably get mad at me every time I say it. You don't need to pay a credit repair person $500 to fix your shit. You know what I mean? You could do you could
Okay.
do it on you could do it on your own.
So,
Or
and you just said that. You just said that because there are a ton of people that are about to get roped into that because they're going to get their taxes, and
yeah,
they're going to go to that credit repair person. They got a lot of money, because they're going to tell them they can buy a house in 6 months if they give them $500 to fix their credit.
if you do what I tell you to do, I'll have you in the house in 6 months. If you do
Okay.
what my team, if you take that money and do what my team tells you to do, I can have you in the house in 6 months.
Well, this is your opportunity right here, and if we can get it put in the chat for your plug for the Malcolm team to help you get into a home, because I was going to ask this question: what are the first three things that people need to do before they come to you, so you know that they're serious? What's the first three things a person needs to come to you to get prepped for home ownership?
Sometimes coming to me is the first thing, because people just don't know.
Okay.
People don't know what it takes, so they'll come and they'll ask. Um, so that can always be one of the first things, is
Okay.
ask somebody if you don't know.
Okay.
Um, you definitely need to get with a reputable lender, preferably a local lender,
Okay.
somebody that you can communicate with. Because if you dial 1-800 get me cash, you know what I mean? You're talking to somebody in the Philippines somewhere.
Right.
That's
Right.
not going to help you. You know what
Right.
I mean? That's not going to help you in a high velocity market like we live in. You bid on a house today here in Washtenaw County, and it's gone tomorrow. It has multiple offers on it in 24, 48 hours,
Okay.
and it's gone. So you need to be able to speak to the people that are working for you and on your behalf to get this house.
You need somebody that can speak the king's language.
Right. And if your credit is bad, again, the realtor that you're dealing with, or if you haven't reached out to a realtor yet, talk to your credit union, talk to your bank, talk to your financing organization, and say, hey, here, I got some bold credit. What do I have to do to get this up to where I need it to be to purchase a home?
Sure.
9 times out of 10, those lending institutions will say, "Hey, you got to pay this off, this off, this off, this off, and we can get you there." You don't need to go paying somebody.
The
I always
lender,
look,
the lender will talk to you or
man.
beforehand.
Lenders will help you all the time. U of M Credit Union. Uh, Really, if you get with a credit union, is really all of them will help you out. But yeah, the right lenders should help you out. They want to help you.
Okay.
I got 3, 4 lenders that I use, each and every one of them. If I send somebody to them, I'm telling you, we sell them a house in 6 months to a year if they do what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
I just got a call the other day from someone that I've been working with for a year. They're ready now. You know what I mean? We spoke a year ago. They did what they were supposed to do. Now they're ready to buy a house. So um, I call it. How you gonna go pay somebody with bad credit to fix your credit? I'm just saying, like,
I was gonna leave that shit alone because I
no,
know
but
motherfuckers out here fixing credit that ain't even got a motor vehicle. I'm like,
it's
how you
irri-
gonna get to the
it's
office, motherfucker?
irritating. It's irritating me to see people get robbed. So, um,
You fixing
I, I'm
credit, but you on the bus.
I'm not out to rob you. So, if people come to me, I generally try and put them with the right people. If it's not the right time, we gonna figure out what it takes to get you to the right time. And I love to see your smiling face at the end of the day when you get those keys from me and walk into your home. Um, so you have to make sure that your credit is good. I mean, I have lenders that can get you a loan at 580 now, and they're a very reputable lender. And if you have a 620, 640 or better, you're generally good to go. You know what I mean? You can go find a home. Uh,
You making what a lot of people look at as impossible seem so possible, but not even possible. You got testimonials in my chat. This brother said he did what you said, and he was in a house in under 3 months. In under
yeah,
3 months.
we worked hard, and he did what I asked him to do, and it was rough, but we found the house, and they love it now.
How the
I mean,
fuck is it rough? That's 3 months. This
no,
mother
well, I
was in the
mean,
house. He's like, I'll
we're
see you
just
next quarter.
we're just in a rough market, man, and
That's beautiful.
it's very important too to make sure that your realtor has great relationships with other realtors, because if you get with somebody, and I'm not saying it's fair or not, but I'm sure it probably happens. But if you get with somebody and people have had a
Drop?
bad working relationship with certain
No drop?
people, you might
Okay.
go to the bottom of the pile.
Be safe.
Who's that?
Sorry about that.
No,
Everybody going home. I mean,
everybody going home?
yeah, they let me know that I'm in here by myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but
Okay,
you
so
definitely
hold
got
on
to.
a sec. How much money I gotta have in the bank?
It depends. I mean, you have some programs like Mister programs where you can't have more than $10,000 in the bank, and they'll help you with $7,500 down payment assistance. Um, it depends on what your FICO score is. You can have as little down as 3.5%. You can put down as much as you want. 5, 10, 15, 20%, whatever you have. But um, if you're gonna go in at an FHA loan, 3.5%. And my suggestion to anybody buying their first home is buy with an FHA loan. You can buy a 4 unit, home. You can buy a duplex, a quadruplex, or whatever. Uh, use
So
that, buy that, make some money, and then go buy the house you want. Go buy the big house
I
you want.
got two questions for you. One's from the chat and one's from myself. Can a person on a fixed income buy a home?
Yeah, yeah. If you want a fixed income and it's enough income,
Okay, so they're going to put you in the window price range based on your fixed income. Can you work when you get that fixed income? Like, could you do and have verifiable income? Does a lender accept that? Because they know if you're on a fixed income, they know that that's guaranteed money, but this other job could come and go. What about like facilitating that? What are the usually the
you
rules
de-
of that?
you definitely have to have some work experience, a year or more, 2 years or more,
Okay,
depending on what lender you're using and the programs you're going to be using.
okay,
Whether you can work or not, I guess that would depend on what kind of fixed income you're on too.
gotcha.
But you got to look at your payments. Your whole living and housing expenses can't be more than 45% of what you gross.
Okay.
So, you know, you got to look at where that's going to place you at as far as where you're going to be living at and where you're going to be able to buy and your purchasing power. Don't think that you're going to go buy a 4 bedroom house in Washtenaw County because you're on a fixed income and you're gonna be limited to what your income is.
Okay.
So you might be able to get a condo or something like that if you don't really have much income, or you might be able to get a smaller rent somewhere, and pick something up. That would just depend on how much you qualify for.
And she said, "Is this universal throughout the United States?"
I have one lender that is licensed, more than one actually, in all of the 50 states. But I belong to leading real estate companies of the world, so I can help you buy a house in all 50 states and over 60 countries.
Didn't you just sell a house in another state? Didn't I see you close in another state?
I've had some referrals go out to St. Louis and a couple other places like that. Yeah,
Okay.
I've
Okay.
sold homes up. I've sold land up north that I never stepped foot on before.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did? So you don't even know if the land exists. You can sell it though. I mean, how do y'all make that deal? Do you have a local agent that's handling business on that side that you had never
One
had?
of our one of our old school educators came to me
Okay.
and he said, "I want you to do something for me."
Right.
I, all I got to do is describe him, and you'll know who I'm talking about. Wear overalls, always in overalls. Cool dude, Scarlet.
Overall, cool dude, Scarlet.
Yeah, I don't mind saying his name, Mr. Radcliffe.
Oh, I
Remember
never
Mr.
would have guessed Radcliffe. See, I
Come
wouldn't have.
on, man. How can you not guess? But
I
anyway,
I guess I should have. I should have guessed it.
yeah, wonderful Mr. Radcliffe called me one day and
You
asked me.
own. Okay,
He
I need
he
you to.
owned some land up north, and
Where do you
I
get that
sold it.
land from?
He owned some land up north, and I sold it for him.
Where do you get
But
the
I
land from? Generational wealth.
generational wealth. Yeah, he owned
Wow.
it up in an area where black people used to go up north and hang out at.
Yeah, Idlewild area, or
Just a little south of Idlewild.
okay, okay. I'm wondering. I'm
Yeah,
like, because people really try to localize us like we didn't move around this state, and there were
yeah,
areas. I mean, there were pockets, and I mean, unlike well, much like the West Side, but there were areas up north that black people. That I mean, that's where black people dwelled.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know, I can help people anywhere. If you're moving out
Okay,
of town or whatever, I can
okay.
help you find whatever it is you need. No problem.
Bet,
Uh,
bet,
it,
bet.
it doesn't matter. So you want to move to Mississippi? I got you in Mississippi. You'll be all right.
Okay. Well, I would. I know that there is a push for people to move back south, and I understand the brothers who are actually really behind this campaign for us to move back south. My thing is, and I've said the same thing. This is only pertains to me because I know our numbers are greater in the south. Our political power is not stronger, but that could possibly change if more people move. But what I do, particularly what I do, I couldn't uproot my family and move south. I just couldn't. The
Yeah,
Go Back to Africa campaign, it doesn't affect me that people want to do that, but I know the reality that I couldn't stop what I'm doing right now and drop on one of the countries in the great continent of Africa and do what I do. Just pick up and keep going. I would have to totally change my life. And I know I would have to do the same to move south. And personally, what am I going to do at 50, almost 52? Will be 52 Sunday. What do I do fresh? Sit in somebody's showroom? Sell somebody's whatever? That's not me. And I am a freedman and I am free. You are a freedman. You're people from Georgia, North Carolina. You definitely,
yeah.
you
My, mo-
definitely a freedman.
my
And the
mama's
way,
people from Canada.
right, right. I mean,
Yeah.
people don't understand we are more than just black people. We are more than just African Americans. We are this soil. We are this soil. And where you are deep, where your family is deep in Washington County, your family is deep all over this country. You couldn't be just this deep just here and not be deep everywhere. I'm finding out I got relatives all over this country. I'm finding I got some people in Houston, Texas. I've been wanting to go to Houston, Texas for years. Now I found I got real family down there that's doing well for themselves. I want to go hang out with Slim Thug. I want to go down and say, Mike Jones, where Mike Jones?
I'm with you. Let's go.
Go, let's go. I love the fact that I'm finding out we just ain't in Michigan.
But
Or
you
maybe
know what? You know what, Buff? Man, there's a whole world out there that people like don't know.
they don't know,
Like
dog.
my wife started giving her students when she was in education at the time. She started giving her students passports for graduation gifts. You know what I mean? Like 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 straight up. Like okay, instead of giving you some money in a card, here go a passport application and here go the money to fill it out with. Now if you go fill it out, that's probably one of the best things you could do in your life
Yeah.
because there's a big world out here. If you don't go fill it out, then hey, that's on you. But
And that's that y'all, because y'all, wait a minute. Your ass just got back from what?
I just got back from the Bahamas the night before last.
Right, right. So this is the kind of shit that kills me. You wouldn't even know it, but you literally were your toes, and I ain't all on your toes. I ain't got no foot fetish,
Yeah,
but your toes was in sand
yeah.
just 48 hours
48
ago,
hours ago,
and you back here. See,
planning the next trip.
yeah, planning the next trip, planning the next
Yeah,
getaway.
yeah,
What do you do in between vacations? Plan for them motherfuckers. That's
yeah.
what you do. That's the way you live. I lived that life for so many years. It was like, where we going this year? Where we going this year? Where we take the kids? Or that dude from Wheels In to Hell. What is it? Hell, Jamaica. I don't know. Where's Hell at? Is that in Jamaica? One of them. But we
but,
went to
but
all of that shit. Caribbean, all over the Caribbean, Mexico, all that shit. And I had those years, and then my life just kind of slowed down.
but you know what though?
Huh?
All of that is a part of generational wealth.
Oh,
Giving your kids, giving your kids the blessings of travel and showing them the world is a great deposit into that generational wealth because it's a bigger world than what we live in around here.
yeah,
Showing them that and showing them the world is a lot. It's a lot. It means a lot because it shows them opportunity. It shows them that it's people that are different than we are.
right.
Different cultures and whatnot, and it grounds them a little bit. So that's a big part of the generational wealth that we're talking about.
Yes, yes. I mean, I think that taking care of your family is indeed, it should be always at the number one, but you got to take your family places and have your family see different things. They just can't live within that structure, their community confines, or they just don't grow. You can only get so big just staying in your area. And one thing that I love about Washington County is that there has always been a lot of opportunity for me around here. The one thing that I hate about Washington County is it's very constricting in those opportunities. I've been blessed because of what I was given through family and learning and just what I've learned out in the world. But everybody hasn't had the same fortune that I've had to do some of the same things. And I feel like those are the people that should have got out of here. Those are the people that might have should have went south and did different things because this county wasn't going to be the same for them. You moved all around this county and done a lot of stuff to where what's created those opportunities, a good name, a good reputation, a hardworking mentality, but just overall motherfucker that don't go around fucking people over. Because this county has a way of closing people out too.
Oh
They can
yeah,
lock you out of opportunity if you are found to be, a miscreant of sorts.
yeah.
But if you got a good name, dude, I feel good when a motherfucker walks up to me like, a guy named Clarence McFall?
Yeah, right, right.
I'm like, yeah. I was like, does he owe you
Hey,
money?
hey,
And,
you be
you
like,
know,
you friend or foe, motherfucker.
man, man. And I'll make a joke or whatever. And I've even gone as far as said, is he your dad? Because it pop over
Right.
on the stone. But it breaks the ice because then people actually know. Because if I say something like that, they know that I'm Clarence's son, whatever. But to know that he had a good name out in these streets, to know that he helped people out in these streets. When people talk about Miss Philpott or Miss Louise, she helped people. She was a
Hmm.
fucking custodian, bro. She was
Yeah.
a custodian, but she owned a home on God Street, and anybody that needed her help, she was riding. She was grabbing her
Hmm.
pocketbook, and she was jumping in the car, and she was riding.
Yeah.
That's what black folks did back in the day.
Yeah.
We took care of each other back in the day.
So
And
we got to misconstrue, man. It's we do it for the likes now. We do it for all kinds of other reasons. You know what I mean? We want people to like us and social media and flossing and all of that, man. I'd rather have a home to come to than a $300
dog,
Gucci belt and a fifteen
I
hundred
don't give a
dollar
fuck
bag
who
and a
likes
six
me,
hundred dollar
dog.
Gucci shirt. I rather have something to eat in my refrigerator, man, and looking good for these fools out here in the streets,
Come
man.
on, man.
It,
You you
it's it's it's
you make
it's
a living
important.
to make a life. You
It's
make
important.
a living to make a life. You don't go
Yeah.
out and make a living so you blow it in somebody's retail establishment and wear it, and the rest of your people is stanking. That kills me, dog. That whole mentality kills me. If you can't lift people up around you, who's elevating you? What's elevating you? Because the dollars can only elevate you so far. But what kind of individual are you at the end of the day? I remember when somebody called me and said, dog, you need to meet me up at this motherfucking spot at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Don't know. I can't remember the time. I go up there, and the motherfucker he introduces me to, it literally tries to change my life within 5 minutes. I don't know this motherfucker from nothing. And he's telling me about the facility that he's going to build, and he's going to do this, and he's going to do that. And he was like, well, what do you do? And I just started pulling out my merchandise. See, I don't get invited to meetings. What I do gets invited to meetings. I'm not needed at the meeting. I can drop what I do off and leave. That's what I want. I don't need to be present at the meeting, but I need me present at the meeting. And
Mhm.
somebody saw that, somebody put that in play only because I got a good name in these streets.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a good name in these streets, then I wouldn't have been able to do that. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate it to this point. Now, we've had a couple people come into this chat. Brother Edward, Brother Edward, I believe he's in family planning
Hmm.
in the mortician business. And he obviously deals with folks and generational wealth and different things like that. So one of the questions that I have, the house is owned, we're gonna go back to grandmama. The house is owned by grandmama. She done lived in the house for 50 some odd years.
Hmm.
Grandmama expires. Family gonna have to go to somebody like Edward. Grandmama expires. What does the family need to do right now to start to secure grandmama's land, grandmama's house?
Hopefully, Grandma would have already taken care of a lot of this with a will or some type of trust or something.
Okay.
That will protect her assets. But unfortunately, a lot of us don't even know how to do that. So we don't do it. And then grandma expires. Now here come the vultures. Everybody want their piece of the pie. You know what I mean?
And
And
it's a fucked up situation because they rifling through the house. They
oh,
going through grandmama's closets and drawers.
before grandma get cold, grandma ain't even cold yet. And everybody want their piece of the pie.
They ain't even got the
But
mortician makeup on grandmama yet.
but the thing is, if grandma had a will or a trust or whatever, it's very easy because it spells out her intentions or his intentions
Mm.
as to what they wanted to do with their assets.
Okay.
If you do not have that, then unfortunately you need to go through probate court. Make sure again that there aren't any other liens or that grandma or granddad didn't owe anything on the property to anybody. Um, Somebody has to be designated as a prescribed um, caregiver over the assets and whatnot, and then they have to be split up equally to that grandmother's or grandfather's immediate family, whether it be kids or whatever, or grandkids, whoever their immediate family is, they would be entitled to gain access to those assets, or they might have to sell them off or whatever. But you can't just go and sell a house because grandmama died and you think that it's in your name. It's not going to work like that.
So
You
Edward said something about a living trust.
yes,
Is that come through generally on the real estate end? Like, can someone call you and get information from you about a living trust, or do they have to go through a lawyer, or even go, to someone like, Edward? They have funeral homes, I guess, all over the country, I believe. So do they have to? Where do they get that stuff? Like when they own the home and they want to get all that encompassed into the living trust.
they definitely need to talk to an attorney. I'm not
Okay,
allowed to give legal advice, you
right.
know, to anyone in any way, shape, or form. But they definitely need to talk to an attorney and have a living trust drawn up. Sometimes you could do it through your job, programs through your job, legal shield, all kinds of different ways. But you definitely need to speak to an attorney that handles wills and trusts
Right.
and make sure everything is filed correctly. And that way, if someone dies, it's right there in the county. You can go pull a record of it, and you don't have any problems. You can execute the will and move on.
Okay. Okay. So you really need to go get a lawyer. Get a real lawyer. Don't get your cousin Sonny, who's a
R-
goddamn tailor and shit, and he does a little law on the side. No, go
And
get a real lawyer. Go uptown. That's what the old people used to say. I got to go uptown and handle some business. Go uptown and get you a lawyer and
yeah,
put on,
definitely.
and I know this is tough, Dave, but should like the family members do all of this, or do you kind of like get one person to do this? Because it gets a little greasy when you get all the family members doing it. Do y'all get together, go meet with a lawyer, or have a lawyer come to the house? Like, what's the best way to do it so people don't? People always feel like they're getting cut out of something. Like,
Well,
what's the best way
the one thing you don't want is a judge assigning someone or a judge assigning himself,
to do?
or an outside person to the situation. So it's best to get together as a family, figure out the one that y'all most trust, and come to some kind of agreement and let that person handle things. And of course, everybody can look over everything, hire their own attorney, do whatever they want to do to make sure that their interests are taken care of. But we also got to be afraid of. We got to stop being afraid of talking. Paying that extra $150, $200, $500 for legal advice, because that $500 that you paid out for legal advice could save you 10, 15, 20, $30,000.
Right.
You know what I mean? And stop being midnight lawyers ourselves, thinking we know something because we heard something, or so and so told me this.
Look,
Nah, go hire
look,
that
man,
lawyer
that's why I
and
said we
do that
don't need
direct.
Sonny. We don't need cousin Sonny. Cause see, you have motherfuckers that talking about y'all trying to get together about the house and shit. And you have motherfuckers be like, "Can we adjourn? Can we adjourn today? Can we adjourn?" Everybody be talking all legal and shit because they watch a couple episodes of Matlock and shit. You ain't got time for all that. This is business. And don't be hiring no lawyers. Have 5 brothers and sisters, get 5 fucking lawyers, and mama's house worth about 32,000.
Bro, I've been at the closing table before with 4 or 5 brothers and sisters, and don't none of them get along, and don't none of them know nothing, and they all sitting there arguing and fighting, and I'm just sitting there like, dog, I don't think this is gonna happen, but trust me, I've been through it, and it's like I just try and I try and educate people and let them know, man, and put them in touch with the right people to get it done the right way. And some people just fight it. You got to do it the right way. There's no way to do it but the right way. And if you don't, and if people get involved, there goes your generational wealth because they're gonna take it all.
What what
They gonna,
what what is the number one reason that they're fighting it though? I don't understand. Why do they fight it?
everybody want their piece of the pie. My pie should be bigger. My piece should be bigger. Or mama's jewelry come to me, or the house belong to me. Whatever. You know what I mean? Mama told me she was giving me the house. Well, ain't no piece of paper to say mama said she was giving you the house. So, you know what I mean? The house got to go through all the kids too. The
Wow.
house, a couple of the grandkids might get a piece of the house because their mama and daddy might have died,
Right.
and then that transfers to his kids. His kids might deserve a piece of what his or her daddy that passed away. You know what I mean? Their portion.
And
So
what about grandmama's first husband? And she didn't divorce him. Now his grandkids done showed up from Humboldt, Tennessee. They done
don't
showed
do
up
that.
from
Don't do
Humboldt.
that. Don't do that to grandma, man.
Grand, grandmama never got divorced from the original grandpa. His kids done found out that grandmama had a house, and they coming to claim they spot.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do things. That's why, like, even when I'm shopping around with buyers, I always give my buyers, 7 days to consult an attorney with
Okay.
anything that I write up. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to be ashamed of or whatever when I write in the contract. I give every client 7 days
Okay.
to talk to. The only time I won't give a client 7 days is if we're in a multiple, offer situation and
Mm.
they aren't going to talk to an attorney anyway,
Right.
and it's just a waste of my time, and it might put my client in a better position to win the house that they want. I
Right.
won't add it into a contract, but I make them send me an email saying that they don't want it.
Okay.
You know
Okay.
what I mean? Like you have to send me some kind of written disclosure that says I don't
Right.
want to talk to an attorney because I advise everybody to talk to an attorney. I mean that little $150 that you're gonna spend, or however much it is, depending on your attorney, it could be two
Right.
hundred, $300 to have them read your mortgage, documents, and to read can save you thousands of dollars. So I encourage everyone to always, include an attorney in the process if you so choose,
Right.
to help you out.
Now, brother Edward, actually, this is a closed discussion because this is actually going across David's feed as well, and I wanted to really stick with about selling grandmama's house. Now, we're close to closing out. If you have something to add on that about family planning, pre-planning, because we also come from those generations where our grandmas, great grandmas, they had to pay for everything. United Memorial Gardens is full of old West Siders.
Yeah, we got
You
a
know,
whole family plot out there.
oh, I mean, and shoot, I remember when Grandma was playing musical chairs with plots because people was dying in other states, and she had already bought a plot for them in 1970, but they wasn't coming back to Michigan, so she was moving people's plots around. This that, and she was like, you gonna need to get a couple plots for them, girl. I'm like, look, Grandma, I'm not buying these cemetery plots for my daughters.
But
All right,
but again, guess what that is? That's
that's
generational wealth
generational wealth.
because them cemetery plots gain
They gain
equity.
value. They gain value.
You know what I mean?
They
So
gain
when
value.
your grandmother and my grandmother was thinking about buying 14 plots, you know what I mean? They was buying land.
The mortician was probably like, they about to kill some people. like I'm buying 14 grand. Like they about to kill a whole bunch of folks and shit. But literally, that's what black people had back in the day. They had the funeral man come up the street. The insurance man came up the street. The insurance man came right to the house and got his little
Yeah,
insurance.
yeah. You remember that man with the bag that used to come up and down God Street selling that old boat ass insurance,
Mr.
man? I ain't
Thomas?
seen.
You talking about Mr. Thomas?
I don't know, but I never seen that policy since my mama died. I know his
Where
ass
the
was over.
fuck is that policy, dog?
I
Where
know
is
his
that
ass was. I know his ass was up here every month collecting that little $25. But that policy ain't never been seen.
dog? Dog, where did that fucking policy go? Where
He
did
used to
that
come
policy?
around with the big bag, man. He used to hit every house on God Street.
And
selling them
every old black lady come out with her little $2, her little $2
selling
like.
them old bold predatory ass life insurance policies.
And the policy was like on a 3x5 index card and shit. It was
Yeah,
like it's
man.
the whole policy right here. Like, whoa.
I ain't lying. When my mama died, I tore this house up. I tore everything up looking for that policy. I wish I knew that man's name. I go dig him up, man, and ask him where is it.
We definitely are going to do that, Brother Edward, because bringing Brother David on tonight, I wanted to open up the discussion about the importance of real estate, retaining it, attaining it, and retaining it. But we want to get into the whole scope of what happens because we eventually get old. And when we get old, we got to make sure that our affairs are in order because I've seen so much. I mean, I was not only a part of a debacle or a couple debacles. We should have never been evicted from a place that we had possession of for over 40 years. We should have never been, I should have never been forced to sell my grandmother's house to provide a living space for her or monies for her to be able to live off for the rest of her life, whatever. Nothing. We should have never came to those situations. But getting to that point of that thinking where our grandparents, where our parents were at homeowners, I wanted to open up that discussion. But we need to open up the discussions about family planning and insurance. I want to bring a insurance agent on to talk about these things as well with real estate and family planning because it's the circle of life. It's the circle of life. And you want to leave more than bills when you leave here. You really want to leave your family debt free of what you cause. You don't want to cause your family debt in your death. And providing them with the opportunity to gain your real estate. Or, sometimes it might not even be that you had real estate. What if you had a sizable bank account or whatever? We shouldn't be fighting before or after we put grandma or grandpa in the ground, mama or daddy in the ground, if there's some money. That money should be the least of our concern. Because really, if it's that much, you need to be thinking about doing something with it so you can make that money bubble. Not splitting it all up and shit so everybody can go to Texas Roadhouse and shit, take a vacation to fucking Florida that you're already gonna take, and then be broke in a year because you spent all the money. No, take that and put it into a business and watch that money flip. But you got to all get on the same accord. And if you don't get on the same accord with the family planning, with the real estate, all that stuff, like you said, probate people going to get involved. Other people going to get it. Attorneys going to get involved, but it won't be your attorney. It'll be somebody else's.
Right.
And
I, I mean the overall thing though is like if you have to, I've seen many people in our neighborhood lose their homes because they didn't want people like me to know their business,
yeah,
or they just don't know no better, man. It's hard for me to understand how they don't know no better. But I've had people, I could have put $150,000 in their pocket, man, and they lost it because they just didn't want to talk to nobody about their business. Yo, bro, but you just let somebody come by your mama and daddy's house for little or nothing, and then
right,
they turned around and sold it for double what they paid for it, or give it back to the bank after your mom and dad worked so hard for it.
right.
Um, if you can't afford it, hey, clean it up and rent it out or something like that. We live close enough to the University of Michigan, medical facilities, the university campus. There's plenty of people that would love to live in this neighborhood, man. And
Oh,
all
yeah.
it takes is a little effort and a little cleanup and a little. If you don't want your neighborhood gentrified, you better gentrify it yourself.
Motherfuckers
You better,
want motherfuckers want to talk about gangster. What's gangster is a motherfucking hipster trying to get into the Water Hill neighborhood. They gangster.
yeah.
A
Well,
hipster trying to get into Water Hill right now will cut your throat. They gonna get their family in Water Hill if they can.
if you don't want your neighborhood gentrified, people always talk about, man, look what they did to our neighborhood. I'm like, they did it because you left. You know what I mean? They did it because your mom and them packed up, and you lost it, or you let it go or whatever, and that's why we are in the situation that we are in. Some people had to leave, some people got to go.
Yeah,
But my thing is this: if you don't want your neighborhood gentrified, you have to gentrify it yourself. You have to take care of your property. You got to fix it up, and I know everybody can't afford to fix it up. Like these people with grandma's trust fund and all of that coming in here doing it in one whop. But hey, a can of paint, every other week or whatever, or some new window screens, a little bit of lawn maintenance or whatever, all that stuff goes a long way.
Yeah.
And you just got to care for what you have. And unfortunately, our grandparents also, they used that one man. I'm not gonna say his name either, but they used that one man, the handyman, to fix everything. So
Right.
now here we are, 50 years later. You got a handyman special. We can't expect to get what we're seeing people get around us
Right.
because ain't nothing up to code.
Right.
Same dude fixing everybody's house in the neighborhood, and ain't nothing up to code, man. Wires messed. I go through it all the time.
And
Uh,
and I understood why they did what they did, maybe out of a lack of money or resources or a lack of trust. But
yep.
when it got to that point, it's like, damn, there were people that did slip through the cracks and did get into places that are like, let me go back to these old West Side homes. I know they're not being taken care of because Mr. So-and-so is the one that's been fixing on them. And he's just a shade tree mechanic. He's just a shade
Yeah.
tree repairman. And
Right.
nobody's shit was up to code. My grandmother's house was uninhabitable.
Yeah.
See, that was one of the biggest issues that I was facing because I was up against the clock about what I had to do, and I was ready to call Adult Protective Services because she couldn't be by herself. She couldn't do. So I was like, God damn it. So I didn't have the time, at least at the time, I didn't think I had the time. Probably had more than I needed to. The fucking house paid off. But I needed to do something because I was also in the midst of raising my daughters and shit, and everyday life was just hitting me, and that was just a part of my life.
Yeah.
But the important part that I missed out on was that once it's gone, it's gone. It wasn't like, like you can sell something. I'll just get another one. Okay. You sell a house on the west side, you're not getting another house on the west side.
That's why I don't sell, man, because I know I'll never be able to get back over here
Simple
again.
as that, bro.
I'm not saying I'll never be able to do it, but to have to ride up the street, man, and look at my house and know that I could have held on to it or whatever because I can. I'm fortunate that I can right now. You never know what the world is going to bring our way, but um, you know, it's hard sometimes when you ride through the neighborhood and you're the suspicious guy. It gets rough sometimes feeling like that. But at the end, uh, as much as I fight with my uncle about the legacy thing, because I say sometimes I don't think my grandparents they would rather me be happy and move on than be sitting somewhere because of legacy. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I understand it.
Right.
I understand when I step off my porch in the summertime and people walking around the neighborhood and they looking at me like I'm crazy. I look back like, yo, you don't know who I am.
Like
They just wrote
I
that
live here,
article.
motherfucker. You're in an Airbnb. Get the fuck
They
on.
just wrote that article on me in October Ann Arbor Observer, and man, I got calls from all over the country about that article. That was the number one article in the Ann Arbor Observer for 2021.
Nice.
The number one article, and it was about this neighborhood, our neighborhood. You know what I mean?
They,
So
they they need people like you to be able to tell the story. There's not enough people that literally have not only the lineage in the neighborhood, but the courage to talk out. Because there's people in the neighborhood that ain't ever gonna say shit. But
yeah,
you're outspoken enough to talk about it, and you'll speak about it full throat. You won't be like, yeah, I remember when so and so was like that, but don't use my name. No, you're
nah, you can
out
use
about
my
it.
name.
Yeah,
You can use my name.
because that's what happens. We become nameless, we become faceless, we become voiceless, then we're out. And I just want to read this. I just want to read this because y'all know I'm about the words. Gentrification. You hear that?
Yep.
Gentrification. The process of whereby the character of a poor urban area, I don't know, this is bullshit because it's not always urban areas, is changed by wealthier people moving in. The west side of Ann Arbor was not an urban area. Improving housing and attracting new businesses, typically displacing current inhabitants in the process. The process of making someone or something more refined, polite, or respectable. Who's to say that we can't gentrify neighborhoods?
That's what I'm saying. You can.
I mean, why can't we gentrify? Gentrification only looks like it works one way because it's only working one way.
Yeah,
But why
you can.
can't we gentrify neighborhoods? We know where a whole cluster of black folks live, and there's a nice house in that neighborhood. Why don't we go live in that neighborhood? Why do we want to go live in that neighborhood where there's not as many black folks? And then you end up with something on your yard, something on your lawn, something on your garage, and you be like, I don't know why this is happening. It's happening because you ain't living by no black folks. That's why it's happening. Is that see? Motherfuckers might say, you live in a white neighborhood, okay? Black, they white. His wife is Latino. We here mixed, Asian or Hawaiian or something. Look, you don't get a white family till way down the road. Then there's some old black people, retiree, got a boat, got the Suburban, got the little crossover SUV. I think they all built their shit. You got people. My backyard is Roberto. Now we want to talk about Roberto. I don't know. I don't know how it happened because I was hot when I heard that motherfucker got sold to the Arab American Community Center people. How do you sell Mr. Doolin's school?
I can't even get on that one, man.
I don't want you to get on it, and I'm talking to the wrong motherfucker. I
Hey,
realize who I've got on the line right now,
we'll
but
we'll be
I'm
on here
hot.
for another. We'll be on here for another 2 hours about that one
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
I will get on fire about that one.
You'll be a Freedman on fire too. See, that's what
Not
I need a
necessarily,
Freedman on fire with me. But
not necessarily who they sold it to, but how they did it.
well, you're right. I don't care that they sold it to Arabs because they actually doing something positive with the motherfucker now with what they doing. But it was disrespectful that you took
Very.
an Ann Arbor public school out of circulation, a much needed school, a much needed edifice. That's a full gymnasium. That's a full auditorium, a full schedule of classrooms, science rooms, everything.
And
Now all the motherfucker is my polling station.
they sold Daddy Joe's house, man.
They sold Daddy Joe's house. And if that ain't a more motherfucking perfect way to end this bitch, really, really, they sold Daddy Joe's house. And the blood, sweat, and tears that man laid on that soil, I sit out on the deck and my legs swinging. I'm like, I wonder if Mr. Doolin ever had to chase somebody over the grassy knoll and shit into my backyard.
Me?
Where my lighter? I gotta go, goddammit. I gotta go. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. I appreciate everybody coming in. This discussion, I told y'all we was just gonna be talking. And I think we did just do some talking. I asked a couple questions that I probably wouldn't have asked in another situation, but we learned some things. We now know some things, and we got to move forward. We gonna have Brother Edward. We gonna have people on here because I'm not an expert in these fields, but I want us to get better as freedmen, as people out here. We got to get better. We can't be in the rent society, leasing society, rent to own society. Somebody can come tell us we got to go in 30 days. We got to own our shit. And the first way to owning our shit tonight, the shameless plug is call the Malcolm team. Call the Malcolm team. I didn't even mention my sponsor. My sponsor tonight is actually Creative Jazz Painting. My brother Jeff Hugan, he made these custom-made dominoes for me. These here are the Flaming H for Huron.
Yeah, I'm tight.
See,
I'm
I
tight.
can crack your head soon enough,
I'm
sir.
tight.
I'll crack your head soon enough. He also made some Michigan ones, and he made the Scarlet Road Runner dominoes. So I've got 3 sets of dominoes from Brother Hugan, and he is my official sponsor tonight. The Malcolm team is who you need to call when you're inquiring about a house, though, and get your questions answered. He's already said he can do things for you in other states. But my people, just in general, we got to get our shit together. I know I talk a lot about repair. I talk a lot about reparations. I talk a lot about what the government owes us. But until all of that happens with our work as freedmen, we got to stay on the grind. We got to acquire as much as we can, as fast as we can, as smart as we can. That's what we have to do. Hey, Cookie, how you doing, lady? You a little late. Please catch the replay. This was a ridiculous conversation, Cookie One. Please catch the replay. But we've got to get on our shit. I mean, the great Dr. Claude Anderson said by 2053 we'll be out of the paint. And his calculations are based on us losing our generational wealth, what we've had, and us losing substantive careers and jobs and opportunities because they're implanting situations into this country that are not beneficial to us. Took me 16 years to get a driver's license. You can now get one in less than 28 days. Took me 18 years to be able to vote in a national or local election. You can now go to New York City and vote in local elections. They've put in hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people into prison for cannabis. I know they want to say it's marijuana, they want to say it was weed, they want to say it was reefer for cannabis. It's now legal in almost half our states. It's now legal in almost half our states. If you don't think you have a plan B, you might want to look into the world. And this is not an endorsement from Brother David. This is an endorsement from me. Because if you have land, you might want to think about a hemp farm. If you have property, you can build on it. You might want to think about a commercial cannabis grow. It's the new way of doing business in this country. It's the fastest growing industry in this country. It's faster than tech. Tech is fast. Cannabis, universities are now teaching curriculums where you can graduate in cannabis. University of Michigan, they've got courses on cannabis. Central Michigan, courses on Northern Michigan, you can get a whole 4-year degree. Nobody wants to go up to fucking Marquette, but I get it. I get it. But there are universities around this. You ain't got to go to Weed U, Hemp University, with all the other ones that are just, no. You can go to a 4-year institution and graduate. Be a botanist, horticulturist. Learn how to be a chef, a cannabis chef, whatever. You can do that. Because the conventional situations are not just out there anymore. You've got to be non-conventional. Is it non or un? I don't know. Let me drink this hand real quick. I think it's non-conventional. Sounds better now. But in all seriousness, we got to start thinking outside the box. And as my young brother Karan said, why does there have to be a box?
Yeah, yeah. I encourage all your listeners, even those with the questions, man. And it's easy to find me, but just make sure that you have a reputable realtor when you get out there. If even if it's not me, make sure you have people in your corner and on your team, man, that are going to work for you in your best interest, and make sure they're well informed. Make sure that they have a good team around them that can get you to where you want to go. You know what I mean? And don't limit yourself to renting to own or renting all together, man. Some of y'all are a lot closer than you think you are to owning a home, and all you need is a little bit of help, a little bit of assistance, and I'm definitely available to help. I try and I try and help anybody that I can. I've sold homes from $12,000 to $1 million. So I don't look at numbers like that. I mean, if you want a home, I want to get you in one.
Right.
And sometimes it's a learning process for both of us. Each individual real estate transaction is different. I learn something new with every person that I work with. I learned that I don't want to work with some people, and I learned that some people don't want to work with me, and that's cool too. But I learn something new every single time, and there's nothing no more better feeling to me than to seeing people with families and kids and homes and helping them solve their issues, whether it's selling or buying, and just helping people solve those issues. If you got to sell grandmama's home, totally understand it. If you don't have to, use it to the best of your ability to make a better life for you and your family. There's plenty of ways that you can utilize that generational wealth to make a better life for yourself. And think about them and how hard they worked and the stuff that they went through to buy those properties, and why they did it. They did it for us. They didn't do it for them.
Right.
Most of this is about us sacrificing for those that come after us. We got to make some sacrifices, whether it be one or two less bottles of popping at the club on the weekend. You know what I mean? We might have to give up a pair of Louboutin shoes, something. You know what I mean, to make it a little better for our little ones and those around us. So I'm very grateful that you invited me on here to talk. I hope I didn't talk too much.
You didn't talk enough. I definitely talked more than I wanted to tonight because, but you gave me everything that I needed as far as getting this dialogue out. I want to be in more solution based conversations, and when we talk about what we don't like and what's going wrong, we don't always talk about solutions, and we don't always talk about what the smart thing to do is, and sometimes that's just really just two brothers rapping. I mean, I didn't get all deep in the chat. I'm horrible with the chat. Very, very bad with the chat. But I tried to catch certain situations when I saw questions and throw them your way because I already know the deck is stacked against a lot of people. And they're already going into this situation feeling defeated. So if they can have somebody come on like yourself, like anybody can do this. You said credit scores, they could buy a house that I had no idea. Because the way they always talk back in the day, you had to be damn near seven, if not seven, to get some shit. You said
I
you can
was
get somebody in some shit in a 620.
I was just in a meeting the other day, and FHA is allowing 580 credit scores right now. If
That's
you
beautiful.
call me and you got a 580 credit score and you got a little bit of money to put down, even if you don't have the money to put down, you give me a call. I'll hook you up with the lender, and it'll be up to you to do whatever she tells you to do. But she can get you in a home, man, with a 580 credit score. And it's not predatory lending. It's straight up and down, black and white. Have your lawyer take a peek at it. You'll be in a house, and no super high interest rates and all of that crap. No arms to put you in any kind of trouble.
Stretch
Um,
yourself. Stretch yourself, people. You paying $800 for rent. You renting somebody's place for 800. Pay that 1100 and get you a house. That
yeah,
300 shit. That
all you got
300
to do is
ain't
give me a call
shit.
and I'll hook you up. If you give me a call, I'll hook you up. I'm 734-395-8606 is my cell phone number.
Slow it down. Slow it down. Frida, please put it in the chat. 734
395
395
8606.
734 395 8606.
Or you can reach me
One
at my
more time.
website,
734
395.
8606. Y'all need, here's the thing, for consultation purposes, set up an appointment. Text him. Don't call him cold. Don't call him cold. Hey, there, I was listening to you. No. Text him. Hey, I heard you on Shannon's podcast. I don't know how you talked to that motherfucker that long, but I'm glad. I know y'all gonna talk about me behind my back, but it's okay. I'm used to
I
it.
ain't worried about it.
I'm used to it. So appreciate it. He put his own shit in there. And he's got his website in there. So you need to reach out if you have serious. This is where the shit gets serious for me. I joke a lot, laugh a lot, all kinds of shit. Serious inquiries only. Don't come asking him what my note be if he don't know your credit. He don't know your job situation. He don't know you. Introduce yourself. I'm so and so. Give him your real name. Don't be like, look, I'm Pookie from Hiscott. You remember me, plus Pookie. Pookie from Hiscott. No, he does not know Pookie from Hiscott. So
Yeah.
let him know your name is Latrell. God damn it, you Latrell. I'm just fucking around, wasting time. Um, I really want people to get serious about this because yes, I indeed believe we are owed reparations, we are owed repair, we are owed a lot of shit from the United States government. Edward says the British. I get it. I understand what the British are. I learned a lot more about the British, Edward. I meant to tell you, and I'll tell you on another cast. Um, but I know that home ownership is kind of generational wealth 101, and that's why I wanted to talk about don't sell grandma's house, don't sell mama's house, don't sell daddy's house, don't sell grandpa's house, don't sell nobody's house. If you ain't gotta sell it, don't let it go. Don't let it go. Don't let it out the family. Don't let it out the family. Because once it leaves the family, it ain't coming back. It ain't coming back.
Fact. Fact. Whoever anonymous Facebook user is scares me.
734
Yeah, repeat that number again and the email address.
395 8606 Federale. God damn. We said that
Anonymous fake
motherfucker about
anonymous
17
Facebook
times.
user, can you give us your real name, please?
They're like, please turn to the side. Can we get a side profile on you, Phil? Like, well, fucking what? God damn. We said that now. You want me to say the motherfucker backwards? God damn.
That's the popo right there. Oh, it's Jeff, man. We talking about Jeff, man. Don't do
Oh,
that to Jeff. Jeff ain't no popo, man.
all
He the
right.
sponsor.
You off the hook. You off the hook. You off the hook.
Yeah, he the sponsor of the show. We can't be talking about the sponsor
Oh,
like
well,
that.
he should have got him a Haps account, and then he could have came up and talked about his great paintings and his dominoes that I'm about to crack every. Hey, you got to order today for some double nines. I don't even know why she did that. I told her I'm gonna smack her head on the first time she get them dominoes.
Hey
But
man, I need some of them the Malcolm team dominoes though.
oh, that dude, that'll be crazy. Get that you talking about like the head, the house with yeah, just give
Right,
all
I,
you
I
gotta do
need
is
some
give
of
him
them.
you just gotta give him that image of your logo. He get that shit on you. Get it.
I need some of them. I need
Those are
some of
gonna
them.
be dope. Those are gonna be dope. Jeff, yeah, I don't know why it's coming up. No, anybody on Facebook comes up anonymous Facebook user unless you have a Haps account. So we just fucking with you. We glad you said it was you though. We're glad because we been talking about your dominoes and shit. So we glad he said it was you. Um, Dave, I appreciate you coming on. You know, we definitely gonna talk about this. We'll rehash this. This is one playback. I always say I'm gonna watch my playbacks, and I never do. I watch like half of it, never watch it. I gotta watch the whole thing to see how this came out because I like this dialogue and I want to pick this up and I want to add people like Brother Edward and other individuals so we can have more of a roundtable type discussion because it all has to benefit. Because this to me is not Black History Month. This to me is Freedman History Month. And we are freedmen. We are people who are from the descendants of American chattel slavery. And from North Carolina to Georgia, what was the other state y'all was deep in down there?
Helena, Arkansas.
Arkansas. God, dog. And the family connections that had to come from North Carolina, Georgia to Arkansas, well before we got here. And your great grandmother born in Ann Arbor in 1908.
My grandmother was born in 1908 in Ann Arbor. My mother's mother.
So your
My,
history.
my great grandmother Virginia Scott is buried in Fairview Cemetery off of Pontiac Trail. My great grandparents, both of them, are buried in Fairview Cemetery, going towards the Heights on Pontiac Trail, and the
So
oldest cemetery in Ann Arbor.
why did did that cemetery just get full? Is that why
No,
people started going to United? Because why did people leave the city? Why didn't people just get buried over in Fairview?
I'm not sure, but all my grandparents are buried in Fairview. My great grandparents and my mom's parents are buried there. My uncle, my aunt. There was a few lots in my family that were purchased over there by my grandparents,
Okay.
and I believe there's a couple more. Uh,
Okay.
Hopefully,
I
ain't
want to
none
know
of
the
them waiting
history
for
on
me.
Fairview. I know the history on United, but I want to know the history of how that because that's pretty much. I mean, I know there's some white folks in there, but that's pretty much a black cemetery.
It's one of the oldest in town, so if
It's one of
not
the
the
oldest
oldest,
cemeteries in town, but there's a lot of black folks buried in Fairview.
yeah, yeah.
So I want to know the history of that because United Memorial Gardens was one of the only graveyards that black people could be buried back in the day. They didn't have a proper burial. They would just throw us over the fence. So that was one of the first. I want to know about Fairview. Is Fairview older than United Memorial Gardens, and how did that become our cemetery? Because there's
Oh
got to
yeah,
be a backstory to it. Somebody's got to know it.
Fairview's a city owned cemetery too, so there's a lot of history there. You won't find it hard to find the
Oh,
history there.
city-owned cemetery.
Fairview is owned by the city.
Okay, now we're gonna start uncovering
So
some
if
shit.
you're looking for
I ain't gonna have you on it because I don't want you to get your real estate shit. Got to stay. No, I ain't gonna mess.
no, but you know who to talk to if you want to talk to, you can call Just Black up down there at the city Parks and Recreation.
Yeah,
They have the information about Fairview Cemetery.
really.
Yeah, I'm sure she could get you any information you want.
I need to inquire because I want to know how it became I guess a cemetery can be popular, but it became notable and known cemetery like where we were. I want to know because I want to start connecting some dots because I got a lot of relatives over there. So
Yeah.
I want to know as well. But brother, I thank you. We gonna just go short of 2 hours tonight. It was very easy, very organic. I appreciate the chat. Um, Free everybody's been in here. Y'all been popping tonight. I appreciate the donations. We got some contributions tonight. Um, Bro, let's get back and do this in another format. I think this is pretty open, but I want to have you be at the head of the table on the real estate side. Brother Edward at the the living trust and family planning and life insurance side, and throw some things out at y'all and how they all connect families, and then throw in that monkey wrench, like families going at it. We doing our thing. We trying to get our business right. We got a family member that's in prison. He's still equal family member, even though he's in prison. How are his rights protected? This is just a random variable I want to throw out. How is that person that's incarcerated, how are his rights and resources protected while he's incarcerated so his family members don't take it from him and when he comes out, he's got nothing? I want to talk to y'all about stuff like that because that's real shit. That's stuff that goes on all the time. Some family members cut out of something, doesn't get something, and then now they got a beef with everybody for the rest of their life. When if they were just held in the loop, but if we started out the right way, wills, living wills, whatever, all that stuff, we get all that stuff tight. We don't have to worry about what happens after they expire. So we're going to start from where we need to be, so we don't end up with those situations. But I appreciate you. I appreciate all y'all, and till the next time, I don't know when I'll go live again because this kind of wore my ass out after a long ass day. Fucking with.
No,
I ain't even do no snow. I actually got a kid in the neighborhood. Did I tell you about this kid? I thought it was Natty's boyfriend, but she said it ain't her boyfriend. This boy said, I said, hey, this is Shannon, Natty's step. I say step. I hate saying stepdad, so I said step. How much for the sidewalk and driveway? He said 25, so I got you. However, you want to do it, there's going to be another drop tonight, so whenever, and I'll see it when it's done. He said, I think I'll do it tonight after I eat dinner. This is why I love this kid. So it doesn't accumulate too much. And if you want, I'll do it in the morning as well. Enjoy your dinner. I said, you know what? Whatever works for you. I'm actually about to go back to work. That's what I'm doing right now, working. And the driveway will be free in about 10 minutes. I appreciate you. And if you need to hit it tomorrow, please do so. And I'll handle everything in the morning before I head to work. That's okay. That sounds great. Thank you. I love him. He's so manable, right? Just finished. I'll be back in the morning around 7-ish to
yeah,
do
get
it
that
again.
money.
I'll be around 7. So that'll be before I get up. So my ass parking on the street. Because this motherfucker came up the street with a snowblower. Killing the game. 16 years old. He's like, fuck that shovel. I'm a baseball player. I need to save my bat. Dog, we work smart now. We don't work hard. We work smart.
and proud of him that he getting that money at 16.
Get that money. Getting it. His family they on the same street. He don't need to come outside. He can do whatever. He's a baseball player. He can just, whatever. No, he gets out, leaves, snow, everything. He probably gonna hit me up with a quote for grass in the spring. Be like, you don't need them no more. I got you. And if he does, I'm taking it. Cause, dude, I'd rather pay him than pay some grumpy ass lawn dude that just stands on the rider and shit and don't want to get your tough weeds, even though I'll pay you a little extra.
Mhm.
Nah, nah. But
Yeah,
yeah, dog.
I
I guess
appreciate it,
that I
man.
guess that part too. I take pride in being a part of a neighborhood. You don't do that when you renting. You don't take pride in it, ain't yours. And those
Nah,
people you talked about that had those homes from that other gentleman who owned them, they never felt like those homes were rentals either. Those were their
nah, it
home.
was home.
Those were home. That was home.
Yep.
That was home. And if anything ever happened and something, they called that dude that owned those homes and they always worked it out. They never were put on the street. They didn't get
Never.
a notice to
Facts.
quit.
Facts.
They got taken care of. That man, you get laid off from the foundry. Okay, let me know when you get back on, Joe. I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
They didn't put you on the street, but that's what they're doing now. And that's why we need to stay together as a collective of people. A black man is another black man's credit card. Now, if they fuck the credit up with you, that's it. That's it. I can't say that. There ain't no credit repair for the black man credit card. There
Hey,
ain't no
hey,
credit
not
repair.
not credit. You got bad credit.
If you can't put a K on it, if you can't look, all our grandparents had good credit.
Right. All of
They all had good credit.
yeah.
And you know what? If you had bad credit, you know what? Old people didn't even like talking to you if you had bad credit. It was like they
No.
thought it was contagious. Like they thought it was contagious and shit. My grandma would be like, "Come over here, come over here."
He
I'm like, "What's
credit
up?"
bad.
They're like, "Credit, his credit bad." How do you know he got bad credit?
You can look at him and tell.
All right, man. Get out so we stop acting a
All
fool.
right, man. Anytime, bro.
I'll
I'll
let
talk
you,
to you.
man. Be
Thank
good.
you.
Be good. We'll talk soon. One love.
All right.